UFOs shooting down missiles. Trump wants a war we can't win, according to Colonel Douglas McGregor. We'll hear from him in a moment. Epstein's niece exposes family secrets. Trump hissing like a reptile. All this and more coming up next. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me. For alternative news, it's Friday, August 8th, and we're looking at some of the biggest stories from this past week as well as today. Up first, UFOs shooting down missiles.
Recently, UFOs have been shooting down missiles. We're going to show you a couple clips. Right, so a lot of some incidents happen in Israel, some incidents in the United States, and the reason why this is happening is because the rules of engagement changed in 1945 when the kids found the matches. What do we mean by that? When they discovered uncovered the technology for the atomic bomb. That's kind of like the kids finding the matches. And then they dropped that bomb on Japan, right? And they almost cracked the earth, right? When they almost cracked the earth, this caused certain extraterrestrials who live here underground and live in Shambhala to come to the surface and say, hey, you can't do that because you could cause a star holocaust. Right, you could cause the planet to go out of its natural orbit. It can cause a crack in the planet. It causes the tilt. It's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen from even the nuclear fallout from that thing from that atomic bomb, right? And then they thought they got smarter, so they created another type of bomb. Later on, they got the hydrogen bomb, right? But then they got another bomb that don't really give a nuclear fallout called a neutron bomb. Right, and they make mention John, right, Johanna, right, the prophet in the Injil Revelations make reference to this style weapon being used. I think in 14, where he says that they didn't harm the grass, the vegetation, right. So these neutron bombs don't harm vegetation, right. Check this out. We got some hot stuff for you. They will never be able to just completely destroy Earth. These guys, they got technology, right? And they got enough nuclear weapons to destroy Earth right now. They got enough nuclear weapons to destroy Earth 3-4 times though. And so, but the extraterrestrials, that will ain't gonna let them do it. Anytime they launch a weapon, the will shoot it down. Let's run another clip.
We were looking down southwest, and the missile popped up through the fog. It was just beautiful. And our guys on our M45 tracking mount with 180-inch lenses on it got it. And sure enough, we could see all 3 stages of powered gliders. They burned out and dropped away. And then, of course, to our naked eye, all we saw was a smoke trail going off into subspace. So we whoopied and shouted and heard the film wrap off in the BU telescope, and figured, well, that was our first big deal, and we got it. I walked into his office, and they had a screen and a 16-millimeter projector set up. There was a couch, and Major Management said, into the frame came something else. It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, We're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of outer space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO."
You can watch the full live stream at the Young Elder YouTube channel. Links will be in the description for all of this stuff. That was just recorded last night by them, as a matter of fact, by the way. And so next, Colonel Douglas McGregor explains why war with Russia would be very, very bad for us. Let's take a look.
I think we've dangerously reduced our arsenal of missiles, period, not just the ones that were used in that attack. And of course, you're referring to the article that we discussed earlier today, or at least I think I sent it to you.
Yes.
And what this article reveals is that, we're woefully behind in the production capacity of all these missiles. They were talking about the SM-2 Block 3, which is actually an SM-6 missile now. We can produce, we think, roughly 500 to 600 a year. If you're going to do the kinds of things we are doing, if you're going to risk war, all-out war with anybody today who has any military capability at all, you need to have a production capacity that is 10 times 600. And that's just the SM series missiles. We haven't even talked about the Patriot missiles. All of our missile production is very limited, and we have done nothing to fundamentally change that. And this is not a new problem, and that's part of what was in that article. We have flag officers, in other words, admirals in the Navy and generals, I think, in the Army and the Air Force, all of whom should be held accountable for the dire straits that we are in with regard to the production of these missiles, because they're the ones that over the last 30 years have been in a position to change this outcome, and they haven't done it. And of course, then you have the Missile Defense Agency, which is another culprit. We spent an awful lot of money. We don't know where it went. We're not sure what we are getting for it.
Here's another story I found interesting. Check this out.
Officials are continuing to search for the suspect involved in a mass shooting that occurred in Anaconda on Friday morning. The suspect was identified as 45-year-old Michael Brown. The Montana Department of Justice says the search is focused in the area off of Stumptown Road. Multiple local, state, and federal agencies are participating in search efforts from both the ground and the air. The shooting took place at the Owl Bar in Anaconda Friday morning. Officials report one bartender and 3 patrons were killed in the incident. Brown is described as 5'10", 170 pounds with blue eyes and brown hair. Authorities said Brown was last seen driving a stolen 2007 white Ford F-150 pickup with Montana plates. However, DCI Administrator Lee Johnson said law enforcement located the truck on Friday and Brown was not found in or around it. The Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest announced land southeast of Georgetown Lake and south of Highway 1 in the East Fork of Twin Lakes Creek and east past Barker Lakes to Garrity Wildlife Management Area, along with the Mount Hagen area, are closed as search efforts continue.
And I just don't think that that happened the way they're saying. Let me show you guys a picture here for a moment real quick, related to that Anaconda shooting. He looks weak. When you look closely at this picture, which, by the way, it bothers me that this is the only thing that they released was this one photo. No video, nothing, just this one photo. But he looks weak, and he's using the wall to hold himself up. You can see that in the photo. And they've got other ones that are a little bit more zoomed out where it's more evident than it is in this particular one that's zoomed in. But this one's a little more clear. That's why I chose to show this one. It also shows the owl bar, the outside of it. But he looks like someone tore his shirt off of him and scratched him. If you look closely around the area of the neck, it appears that there are several finger scratch lines. So, it appears that he's trying to get away from somebody after being attacked. And I think if they ever find him, I don't think he's going to be alive. That's just my opinion. But I think they're being dishonest. They haven't released any video and only this one picture as far as I'm aware. And he can't walk. He's holding the wall to stand up. And he's basically naked. He has on just a pair of what appears to be shorts or underwear. He's holding the wall to stand up, like I mentioned. And then they claim they can't find him. It's in over a week. And they're using people, dogs, drones, and helicopters. And I just don't buy the narrative on this one. Not one bit. I find it very strange. He's an ex-military guy that had mental health issues. And I just have a feeling that when they do find him, if they ever do, they're going to say that he's deceased. Next, Trump has been hissing, and I'm just going to go out there and say that it's because he's a reptilian. That old dragon, the serpent. Let's listen to this.
He kept on doing that during this speech where he looked so cognitively addled. Now, I looped that 3 times at the beginning just to isolate that sound that he was making. But I'll show it to you in its full context right here. And again, throughout the speech, he looked defeated. He looked beaten. He looked like he had been knocked out. And he was speaking at this artificial intelligence committee, and he says that we shouldn't call AI, but anyway, here's what he says. He goes, we shouldn't call it artificial intelligence. I don't like that name. Here, play this clip.
The earliest days of one of the most important technological revolutions in the history of the world. Around the globe, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. I find that too artificial. I can't stand it. I don't even like the name. You know, I don't like anything that's artificial. So could we straighten that out, please? We should change the name. I actually mean that. I don't like the name artificial anything because it's not artificial. It's genius. It's pure genius.
And then he can't say the word luminaries, but you can listen to this right here. Let's play it.
Up here, the brain power, the greatest power of them all, the brain power. Well, I'm thrilled to be here with so many tech leaders and luminaries as we take historic action to reassert the future which belongs to America.
And this is really bad. Alligator Alcatraz is being used for torture. And that is going to be video 5. Let's play it.
3 guys were handcuffed, like 7 or 8 people jumped on them, stepped on their heads with their feet, rolled them on the floor, dragged them. That's what's happening to these 3 guys. They abused these 3 boys.
They are not bathing for days. For punishment, it has been reported that some prisoners are being put outside for hours in the heat in what is called the box.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Up next, the Brush Junkie YouTube channel with yet more interesting content. Epstein's niece exposed family secrets.
I saw a really interesting interview on Sean Atwood's channel with Epstein's niece. Her name is Anya, and she made a lot of very surprising revelations, and this is just one of them. I'm going to play it right now.
My great-grandfather, according to my father, was Walt Disney. Before he moved to the United States, his name was Artur Bick, ArturbickE. And his twin sister, who he had children with, who I am descended from, was named Minnie.
So after hearing that, I started to make some really interesting connections. I'm going to share that in a little bit, but I do want to provide a little background as to where this culture that she's going to talk about. If you want to watch her interview, I highly recommend it. Go to Sean Atwood's channel and look for it. It's quite long, so I'm only going to play a couple of the clips. And here is her explanation as to why her family participated in these unusual, I guess, rituals and why they did things the way they did. And this is also reflected in what Jeffrey did as well. So here's her little explanation.
It goes back for generations. It goes back for generations. I remember my father confessing that my oldest brother is 8 years younger than him. Is cyclical. With men, especially, when they stifle it, they repeat the patterns, which I don't see as an excuse, because I'm not but of course this happens with men. And power and pressure to conform is excellent as a tool for silencing people. They told me that we belonged to the cult of Baal, B-A'-Al. They told me this with consistency while I was being abused. Now, what you can look up about the cult of Baal, information that is publicly available, is that it is thousands of years old. It is a Phoenician satanic fertility cult. And publicly, it's supposed to have been eradicated. But to my knowledge and my experience, it is not. This is what people perceive the Illuminati to be. It is a group of elites that practices forced and uses these crimes to control people. They happen to have a huge reach over politics and entertainment.
And by the way, everyone, I'm a teacher of spiritual science, which gets into a lot of the deeper things that a lot of people don't know about. And I can tell you that the Illuminati that Epstein's niece referred to there is the fake Illuminati. It's not the real Illuminati. It has nothing at all to do with enlightenment or helping people or improving yourself. It's devil worship. So next up, and before we go, let's listen to Professor James Fetzer on the Raw Deal at Revolution.radio earlier today. I got some clips of him talking about COVID and the vaccine and exposing secrets that have been covered up.
Well, this is Jim Fetzer, your host, and I'm getting my stories in place. I got a great guest for you today, Tom Haviland, who's a former Air Force major. He was a defense contractor. He's done a lot of work on COVID. And I think what he's got to report to us is going to blow you away. Meanwhile, we got a lot of stories for today. If I can only get them featured properly. These things happen in this modern day of technology and internet communication. And of course, I'm your host right here on The Raw Deal on Revolution Radio Studio B, this 8th day of August, 2025. We have beginning a NATO knockout in Odessa. Pretty fascinating stuff. Take a look, take a listen.
A powerful explosion tore through a suspected weapons warehouse in Odessa, leveling what sources claim was a major stockpile of missiles, and leaving behind a scene of chaos, emergency evacuations, and whispers of NATO involvement. The strike, reportedly carried out by Russian forces, obliterated the depot in what pro-Russian sources describe as a precision hit.
Biolabs, I don't know what's going on with the biolabs in Ukraine. That may be one of the reasons why this is still an issue and they're still fighting over this territory. Because it is bizarre, isn't it, that so many biolabs have been discovered in that particular country all around the same time that we've had this whole COVID-19 pandemic and the creation of what we now know is the SARS-CoV-2 virus in a lab, and then the countermeasures, the vaccines that came out to supposedly cure us of the COVID-19 virus, which have actually exacerbated the problems, as we'll talk about later on with these worldwide surveys I've been doing. It's pretty good evidence that the COVID vaccines are actually exacerbating the problem and making these unusual side effects that not just the people have seen with the white fibrous clots, but also myocarditis, nerve damage, miscarriages, turbo cancers, all that accelerated when the vaccines came out on top of the virus. So it's very unusual that Ukraine has all these biolabs and it seems to be the center of attention at the very same time the whole COVID pandemic took place.
Stand by. Monique, Tom, we got a break.
Thank you. Well, I do believe that SARS-CoV-2 was created in the biolab of the University of North Carolina of Chapel Hill. I mean, Dr. Rashid Ali Buttar made that quite clear on YouTube back in the spring of 2020, and his videos were disappearing, and he disappeared. He was poisoned in 2023, and he passed away. Do you know who he is, Paul? Did you ever hear about his name?